Hey guys, welcome to Singular Merge, a show committed to pushing valuable news in technology. My name is Adam Richmond, and I'm co-hosting with Federico Gutierrez, and today's guest is Mariano Zorrilla, and we'll be talking about Flutter and the transition from Android development. So welcome to the show, Mariano. It's good to have you on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was an unexpected message over LinkedIn. It was like, what's going on? But I'm so happy to talk always.
Hey, LinkedIn's one of the best ways to reach out.
Yeah, it is.
So to start off the show, just really easy. Tell us a little bit about yourself, the roles you're in right now, where you work.
Yep. Well, I've been doing Android for almost 11 years. It's been a while. I'm 31 years old. I'm from Argentina. I started from a small town. I think it was the only one doing software development. And I did it out of curiosity and because I didn't have any money. That's one of the two reasons why sometimes you switch professions or even works. In my case, I was doing more help desk, call center kind of thing, like picking up calls from different mobile companies. I didn't like it. I hate the job, to be honest.
Oh, no.
But I always was fascinated by smartphones, even back in the day, like 11 years ago, when no one has a smartphone. I have do you guys remember the Nokia Engage, the game phone from Nokia?
Oh, yeah.
Really old. That had a Symbian. That had an OS. So you can actually install apps and all the stuff. And I was fascinated the fact that I can have an app, like executing movies and stuff, like in a small form factor. So I was like, I think limitations give you like a lot of like imagination of things that you can do. Like, okay, I'm way limited. What can I do with this small screen and stuff? And that kind of like put a fire on me. And it's like, okay, maybe I will go to software development. Even I never went to college, so I have no background whatsoever. Going like straight up into doing apps. And I was like, this is going to be a hell of a ride. So it is. It's still a hell of a ride.
Did you ever like do the TI-84 calculator programming on the graphing calculators?
No, I think the only thing that I do with calculators was writing unappropriated words with calculators. That's the reach that I manage. I never do those geeky stuff because I was like, I like video games, I like computers and stuff, but I never have a computer. I never own one. I think I saved all my money that I have from that job that I used to have to buy a netbook, not even a laptop, a netbook, those tiny 7-10-inch computers. And that was with the ones that I started doing Android. They barely can run Android. They can barely run Photoshop, but they can actually run it. So
wow.
That's what I started with. And it wasn't any like guides on YouTube. It wasn't any guides on the internet. It's like, try to guess what you're doing, I guess. It was like, what is a method? What is a class? What is this and that? I have no idea. I was just like writing and hoping that this doesn't burn my computer. Pretty much. I was really scared. It was actually a challenge at the beginning.
The experience of being self-taught, right? That's really good.
Even with the language, one of the challenges, like Federico, we're from Argentina. We born with Spanish. We have to learn English, and that was also the thing that I have to learn on my own.
Correct.
And I tried to gain what you call the American English because I knew that it was going to be better for my profession because people, even if I work remotely, people will feel that I'm still in the States. If I need to talk with a client, they will feel that I'm in the States. Just because of that reason, that's what I learned, that accent pretty much. And then just grows on me. And that's how naturally it goes when I talk. Same thing with software development. I try to go like, okay, what are the things that I need to learn to make myself look like I'm a software senior engineer or whatever, just to try to get into companies without a college degree, without any background, without anything. It's like, how do I make myself look legit?
Yeah.
It took time.
Well, hey, you did a good job of it. You're clearly you're doing well.
I guess
today,
so.
Yeah. And once you're in and you're able to show the experience, you forget about all that, right? You're in the game.
Yeah. Once you're in the game, once you kind of show your stuff and you got this backgrounds of doing things in companies and you show it, the road is a lot easier. At the beginning, it's rough. It's so hard.
Yeah, that first job is always the hardest, getting your shoe in the door.
For sure.
And could you talk maybe a little bit about how you started with Android development and then how you maybe transitioned to Flutter?
Yep. Well, I start with Android, maybe the most logic one that I could take, because if you want to develop for iOS, you need a Mac, you need an iPhone. That means a lot of money. That means a lot of money that I didn't have. And in Android, you can emulate stuff, so you don't even need a phone. But I gained the first Android in the entire South America, which was the Motorola Milestone, which in the US was the Motorola Droid. That was like the first Android 2.0 device. But I started before with emulators with Android 2.5, which was the first official release to the public. So until I kind of learned some stuff, I already have a device so I can test my apps. That's the way that I start. It took me years to learn, almost like if you go through college, pretty much to learn how to make apps. But at least in the process, I bumped with every single rock in the road. So that made me like a little bit harder to know all the things that it could happen in a way to do a project. It's like, oh, this could broken, this library could do this and that and all the stuff, because I didn't know what to do. So I try to do everything pretty much until like, okay, doesn't work. Okay, this work. And then I learn.
So you just mentioned roles, right? So what is your position right now, and what do you actually do on that role, and how do you move around that?
And right now I'm as a tech lead on a fintech company from Silicon Valley, a really well-known one. Pretty much everyone has that app. We in the everyday, like in this weird times that we're living, is more like doing development most of the time. And the other job that I have is more as in my free time, or taking these times that I don't have much to do in my main job. I'm a software kind of principal software engineer and BGV, very good ventures, doing Flutter all the time, Flutter. And the other one as a tech lead is doing Android. Okay. But in Flutter is fun because Flutter is new. You learn new stuff all the time. I get to work with a lot of people that I already know since I started Flutter, which is also great. But it's a lot of fun doing both stuff, like switching Kotlin and Dart and Flutter all the time. Your brain thinking, should I add the semicolon here? And
what's the syntax like with this language?
We're probably going to hop into more, technical type of things. But first, we wanted to ask you a couple of questions, about. We usually ask this to everybody to see how they see this world, right? Because I think it's unique in the sense that we are everywhere by being an IT. So one of the questions is, what type of impact are you hoping to have on the world through technology? Even if it's big or small, everybody has different ambitions, but there's always that.
Yeah, I guess in my case, not coming from a IT background, not even in college and stuff, at the beginning it was more like I need something that pays my bills, I guess, kind of thing. And once you enjoy it and you like it and you're just like, oh, I can actually do things that, again, millions of users use it. Either if you have a payment service, they can make even people in the remote places, but they have a cellular connection, they can have like their own business with an actual, they accept debit cards and credit cards, which in other ways, it will be impossible because if you're not a big, more in the like South American stuff, we're not as advanced as Europe. And we're not as the US. So trying to get it like we call it postnet, the one you just swipe your card, to like a small city in a small place with limited internet connection, it was like a little bit rough and challenged. So if a tourist come and try to pay with a credit card and stuff, they're like, oh, we don't accept credit card, and you lose a client, right? But now with apps and even those dongles that you can connect and you can swipe the cards and stuff, it's like, boom, that person is now able to sell and maybe even have a business on their own. And you enable that doing software, which is amazing.
It's the spreading of opportunity to places that don't have it.
So. Yeah.
What about with these changes and where you go, where you work? You mentioned many things that you did. So I'm really interested in this. What non-technical things did you learn? I definitely know, like you said, now you kind of like became a teacher. I know you're a speaker. You like organizing. That's a lot of stuff that you learned. What else could you say that you learned that is not IT purely?
Well, when I say a lot of people, and I think that's one of the reasons that I land into amazing jobs, it's you can be really good in what is called the hard skills. All this technical knowledge that probably is going to give you like tremendous work. But even if you don't have this huge amount of hard skills. Maybe I don't know like the ins and outs on Android, but I have this really good, what I call the soft skills. You're really good at communicating. You're really good at group. You really, if there's something burning in the servers, like 10 p.m. on a Friday, you're the one who goes and fix it. That shows like they're going to hire you for that reason.
Well, maybe let's switch pages a little bit. Start to get into a little bit more technical concepts.
Sure.
Could you start out by telling us maybe just a little bit about Flutter?
Sure.
Give us a good little overview of it.
Got it. I will give you the first impression that I got when I met Flutter 2.5 years ago. I thought it was something like, I'm going to say names here, but Wix.com, Squarespace.com, those websites that you can just grab and just that's it, and creates an app for you. That was the way Google was doing all the marketing for Flutter. So it was like, what is this framework? Is it trying to steal my precious development experience and job? I'm not going to like it. I thought it was like a worse than PhoneGap, worse than Cordova, worse than all those website kind of things.
Do you know Xamarin? I was comparing that to Xamarin when they announced it, and I didn't go in because of that.
I think you can call it, if you want to call it which one is the closest to, I would call Xamarin is the closest to. Because they do
Xamarin
is
not a good
approach.
experience in the end.
No, it's not a good experience. But at least in the philosophy, how they build the apps is pretty similar. Because the other ones are like hybrid apps that you do web stuff and it kind of like interpret all your code and run it into native code, which is also, it's not a good experience because of all those issues. So at the beginning, I was like, I don't like Flutter. This is not going to be good. But then I think it was Google I/O 2018 when they talk a little bit more technical about Flutter. And because I'm part of what is called the GDGs, which is Google Developer Groups, Google normally gives you topics for you to do different talks and meetings. And they're like, boom, Flutter. Who's going to do the Flutter in Argentina? And I was like, everyone looked at it, I was like, well, you know Android, you can do it. I was like, I guess.
Count me in. That's how it started.
I was like, okay, how much time do we have? We got 2 weeks. Damn it. And I actually built 2 apps in those 2 weeks. And one really polished that I was actually good for the talk. There was like, the other one's like trying, testing. It was really bad. But you do the basics. You do like, you're scrolling through the like different movies and you tap on a movie and you got the details, which is pretty much the start. It's like you connect to an API. You got a recycled view that you can scroll through it. It's a kind of grid kind of view. And you can have designs. You can have different genres and all the stuff. You can save favorites. So it's a really good example of the most like average app. You save favorites. You got a database. You hit the API. You got a different list. You got details. Pretty much 90% of the apps go through that flow. So that flow. So I think